Miss Burke here with Mooncake in the background, giving herself a bath now. I wanted to take a moment to just check in with you guys and talk about what this week is going to look like. From this point forward, I will be doing weekly checklists. So a weekly checklist will be integrated within a Pear Deck. This Pear Deck will help you make sure that you have everything on track for the week. It will be your one place for all of your information and making sure that you're prepared for your live meetings. So I wanted to take a moment this week to just do a quick check-in. I appreciate all of your flexibility as we get used to this new crazy schedule, and I appreciate all of your patience with this. STEM 1 will actually be having a change in theme. So technically all of our remote classes are going to be STEM 1. And since we have a lot of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who might have already had 6th grade or 7th grade STEM, we're going to have a completely new theme. So if you have ideas of a theme that you would like to see or activities that you'd like to do, I'm currently designing them. So I'd love to hear what you have to think in the pre-survey that is linked in this Pear Deck. And so what you can expect is that you will have a Pear Deck or a linked activity for the first 30 minutes. You'll have a Zoom call, and then you'll have time for independent work. So I want to show you what that will look like on Google Classroom. So when you go to Google Classroom, remote electives last week did not have a live meeting because orientation week did not have live electives unless your teacher specified that with you. So what this could look like is when you have a day that you are live with me, you will see a post. If we have a Zoom meeting, you will see what time the Zoom meeting is at. You will see that time in the instructions of Google Classroom. So you can see that last week we had a Zoom meeting at 10 a.m. for this class. There will also be a link for that meeting within this place. So there's a few ways to access your classwork. In the stream, most of the time it'll be the first thing on here, but sometimes I will post announcements, so it could get buried. It may show up under the upcoming work. If something is due that day, you will see that it is linked here. Under classwork is the best place to look, and you're going to go to classwork, and then you'll see in the classwork section that what's going on that day. When you complete, make sure that you click that turn in button so that it doesn't show up as missing when you've done the work. So if you have a Pear Deck, it will be linked here. If there's a Google Doc, you'll probably have your own copy and you actually need to click in here. The Google Docs will show up on the right side when you click in. You always need to take attendance if you have me. So whenever you get into Google Classroom, best practice is to click on everything and make sure that you have done all of the things that are attached. Everything you need for class will be attached. When we have a live meeting, I am going to ask that you guys bring your data notebooks. On the supply list, you are asked to purchase a composition notebook. And so I'll try and keep your table of contents up to date. And we will be using those physical copies of notebooks so that you can draw and you can write while we have our meetings in class. If you've had STEM with me before, you know that we use those for a lot. So please bring your notebooks to your live meetings. Like I was saying, they're not going to be 90 minutes. You can expect to have a Zoom call in about the middle. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, I teach 2 classes at the same time. So most likely, your calls will be a little bit staggered. All you have to do to know the correct time is going to be to look at Google Classroom and see those instructions. So this is our weekly checklist. You're going to go through it and everything you need for the week is in here. So I'm going to show you what you could expect. Attendance forms are only for the days you have me. So if you don't have me, there shouldn't really be anything posted for you to complete. We will need to complete safety contracts on the website. So if you have Science with me, you've probably already done this. Last week, there was a time for you to look and explore my website. And now we're going to be going over safety this week in our Zoom meetings. So if you didn't fill this out yet, that's okay. I haven't given you a due date yet. You do need to fill out the student contract for safety and the parent guardian contract for safety as well. This looks exactly like your science classes, so you have the training that you need to fill these out. The safety contracts are for just making sure that we're doing things that are safe, especially in STEM. We'll be creating and building some really cool stuff. That's the hope. So make sure that you have those safety contracts filled out. Yes, if you already filled it out for another teacher, you still need to fill it out for me. The reflection journal from this point forward will only be for projects. So I will not use them for the choice board again. I realized that was confusing last week. Thanks for bearing with me with that one. So this week, when you do your choice board on Friday, you're going to actually make a Flipgrid instead so that everyone can see what you learned. So when we're going through our weekly checklist, let's go ahead and go through. You're watching this video in the first slide. And so next up, we will see what we need to have prepared before we have our first live meeting. So we need to make sure that we have our data notebook this week, and we need to make sure we have our table of contents set up. This was one of the lessons that we did orientation week that was asynchronous. So if you missed that lesson, please go back and make sure that you've done everything from last week. We're also going to have a moment to show our About Me pages. So please make sure that you finish this. If you haven't finished it yet, again, go back, make sure that you have it prepared for our first Zoom meeting. This slide is specifically for cohort A. Anything in yellow is when you will have me. So this is just a way for you to make sure that you're showing up for meetings on time. Like I said earlier, it does not mean that we're meeting specifically from 8:25 to 9:55. The exact time of the Zoom meeting will be in the instructions on Google Classroom. And just to point out, Friday classes, since I teach 3 classes at the same time, we will be dividing that up into 30-minute live sections. Remote A, you'll go first at 11:55. You can expect for our Zoom meetings on Fridays to always be at 11:55. Cohort B, I have you first on Monday and Tuesday. So remote B classes on Friday can always expect to meet at 12:25. Mobile Mustangs, I'm going to see you on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then you can expect to have me at 12:55. So this is your weekly checklist. One of the things that you need to do for this week before we have our live meeting is fill out your pre-survey. This is where I told you if you have ideas, please let me know of things that you would like to see or ideas of projects that you'd like to do. I will grade with a scholarship habit rubric. Basically, that's like if you're doing everything you need to, that's a 5 out of 5. And the last slide is going to have a checklist to make sure you're prepared for the week. I would honestly recommend whether or not you have me immediately on Monday to just get this done on Monday so you know what to expect. For this week, you need to have your notebook ready for Zoom. You need to know when your live classes are, and you need to complete the pre-survey. Remember that I will try my hardest to make sure that I'm responding to your emails. I have 150 students, so I know that I love you guys and that I'm working my hardest to email you as much as I can. But when you have that many students emailing every day, it's a lot to respond to while also teaching and planning and grading. So if you have a question, please remember to ask 2 peers first before you email me. I would love to answer your emails and interact with you, but just realize that I have a lot of emails right now and that I'm trying my best to get back as soon as possible. I hope that you are all having a wonderful week. I am looking forward to when I get to interact with you guys in person, and I appreciate you guys taking the time to make sure that you're prepared for STEM classes.